Controller of Her Majesty's Household, Mr. Mike Freer.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. First of all, I have to say I'm in something of an invidious position because normally I stand behind the chair urging ministers to be short. Now I'm in the position of having to try and go long while ignoring the bench whips. First of all, if I could like to pay tribute to the sponsors of the debate, the member for Wallasey. I know she and I shared a platform many years ago, I think probably around 2004, so I know her commitment on these issues over many, many years, and I commend her passion if I don't always share her analysis. My honourable friend for Carshalton and Wallington, also a co-sponsor, and I have to say that I'll touch on some of the technical issues he raised, but I think that the message he gave of having a supportive family, and despite a supportive family, I still encountered issues, shows that whilst we've made progress, we still have issues to come. And the honourable member for Ochil and South Perthshire made a powerful contribution. And again, I have to say that the contribution from the SNP was across all members who took part, particularly powerful and in many ways insightful. I have to say, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the whole debate has in the main been in good humour, and whilst on both sides of the House people may disagree on what still needs to be done or disagree on the history of what has gone before. But I do think this debate has allowed us to celebrate the achievements of what we have seen over the past few years whilst focusing on the issues that still remain. Madam Deputy Speaker, the first Pride event was held in this country in July 1972, inspired by the infamous Stonewall riots. And brave and determined people marched through Highbury Fields of North London with one message: we are here. And today that message remains the same: we are here. It is a simple message, but a powerful one. And the importance of visibility cannot be underestimated, because to be seen is to be heard, to be counted, and that is the bedrock of our democratic society. There's been some discussion as to whether Pride is a protest or a celebration. In my view, it can be both. Members, if I could turn to some of the issues raised during the debate, a number of members raised the international situation, and despite the changes that we've seen and can celebrate in the UK, globally there do remain too many places where being LGBT is a daily struggle, where discrimination and violence is a daily occurrence, and where tolerance and acceptance is a far-off dream. Members have commented that there are still 70 countries in the world today where it is illegal to be LGBT, and 11 of these, the death penalty remains on the statute book. And whilst that is the reality for millions of LGBT people around the world, it's important that Pride is seen not just as a month of events, but as a global movement of visibility. And I'm proud to say that this government will host a Safe to Be Me, a global equality conference that will bring together government representatives, business leaders, the civil society and international parliamentarians to address the safety of the LGBT community across the world. The conference is the next step in the UK's journey towards equality and will focus on decriminalisation, progressing legislative reform, tackling violence and discrimination, ensuring equal access to public services for LGBT people. In September, and I wanted to touch on this because I know that my honourable friend for Reigate and my honourable friend for Dumfriesshire, Clydesdale and Tweedsdale made reference to the work that we need to do with the Commonwealth. And in 2020, we announced an additional 3.2 million of UK-funded projects to help Commonwealth governments and civil society groups reform those outdated laws and end the legacy of discrimination and violence that persists today. My honourable friend for Reigate and others did ask for whether the commitment from the Prime Minister will be delivered, and that I can say that commitment is still sound and will be delivered. Now, I can't promise the 40 million that my honourable friend for Reigate was asking, neither can I deliver the reform of the drugs laws. Those are well outside the brief of today, Madam Deputy Speaker. In addition to the 3.2 million for work in the Commonwealth, we've also given an extra 800,000 to support the vital work, especially of the civil society organisations, through the Commonwealth Equality Network. A network who work tirelessly to protect the rights of their fellow citizens and ensure that LGBT people live free from discrimination and violence. And I have to say, Madam Deputy Speaker, I was particularly pleased to see the recent appointment of my noble friend, the Lord Herbert of South Downs, as the UK Special Envoy on LGBT rights. And that further highlights this government's commitment to LGBT people at home and abroad. If I could turn to one or two of the specific areas that we've covered today, let me turn to health. Numerous members have talked about some of the issues facing the community when accessing health services, and it is a regular focus of all our discussions in this House, and it's the focus of this government's LGBT work. The appointment of Dr. Michael Brady as the first National Health Advisor for LGBT is another example of our commitment to level up the outcomes for LGBT people. Appointed in April of 2019, Dr. Brady has already achieved a great deal, liaising across NHS England. His work to ensure LGBT health inequalities are given consideration in the long-term planning and implementation. And he's working on improving data collection on sexual orientation and gender identity, and has held roundtables on LGBT health, and he has hosted the first national LHS LGBT health conference, highlighting issues that LGBT people experience. This is firmly on the agenda of our health department and our equalities team. In education, our manifesto made clear our commitment to helping teachers tackle anti-LGBT bullying, and the government continues to fund anti-bullying projects. The Department for Education is tendering a new anti-bullying programme that will include LGBT in their mandates. And I think the Honourable Member for Hornsey and Wood Green asked some specific questions, on all of which I will have the answers to, but I will make sure that we get back to her. But in particular asked about teacher training. Being married to a teacher, Madam Deputy Speaker, I do know that this issue is covered, but whether it is covered to the depth and to the satisfaction as for the Honourable Member of Hornsey and Wood Green, that I don't know. And so what I will do is ask if my colleagues in the Department for Health responsible for that particular section of teacher training make contact with her, so that we can have a proper discussion as to whether there are any gaps in teacher training that need to be done. If I could, Madam Deputy Speaker, just look at one of the achievements on same-sex marriage. Let's not forget that it was a Conservative-led government that introduced same-sex marriage in 2013, and which extended this to include couples in Northern Ireland last year. And between 2014 and 2017, 25,000 same-sex couples married in the UK, myself included. In fact, Madam Deputy Speaker, I think I was the first Conservative MP to actually use the legislation. My honourable friend for Darlington mentioned his 13-year civil partnership, and those of us in this House know the strains of being a Member of Parliament and will know the importance that we place on support from our partners and our family. And I think it's right we put on record that we pay tribute to our partners and our family for all they do to help us do our job in this place. Yeah. Now, that legislation on same-sex marriage has enabled tens of thousands to enjoy the rights and privileges and joy that marriage can bring. And if I say to my honourable friend for Carshalton and Wallington, who I know is disappointed with his delayed marriage, but I hope that this time next year he will take part in this debate as a married man. Of course, there is more still to do. There is immense progress that has been made since the first Pride March, and we still have to carry on the progress to achieve full equality for LGBT people here at home. And that's why the government is committed to levelling up outcomes for LGBT people, as well as the groundbreaking global conference. We are also committed to banning conversion therapy, tackling hate crime, and making it easier for trans people to access the support they need. Could you just give me one moment, because I may answer her question, or I may not. With regards to conversion therapy, as announced in the Queen's speech, the Government will bring forward legislation to ban these practices. In order to ensure this legislation places victims at the centre of this work, we will launch a consultation in September this year to ensure we get it right. This will be an important and groundbreaking piece of legislation, and the first action that any UK government has taken to truly end conversion therapy.